And we're going to start with, what do my students and parents see in Schooloop? This is really at the core of a lot of the questions that we've received from teachers and from admins so far this year. So when we think about answering this question, what do my students and parents see in Schooloop, I want to address that today from the perspective of a teacher who's publishing a homework assignment. When a teacher publishes a homework assignment, Schooloop automatically pushes that homework assignment to 3 different views that students have. The first view is the personal view. So this is a view that's unique to that student. And that's the student portal, the homework email, and the mobile app. The second view where the homework gets pushed is the class view, which is really the new digital classroom. And this is a view that the student shares with you, the teacher, and with the other students who are enrolled in this class. And finally, the homework assignment will get pushed to the public view, which is your website. And it really only gets pushed to the public view if you have information about your course available on your website. If you don't, then it won't get pushed there. All right, so let's take a look at each of these views and try to get a better understanding for what your students are seeing when you publish a homework assignment. I'm going to go to my demo site and log in as a student. And this is my student portal. It has all of my classes here at the top. And then you'll notice in Tasks, Current Assignments, this is the first place on my portal that a homework assignment appears. So my English 1A teacher decided to assign some homework on a graphic organizer. If more of my teachers had published homework, that would all appear here as well. And that homework also appears in my calendar. So I can see the graphic organizer appearing in the calendar down below on my portal. So this is just a nice way for students to quickly get a sense for what work they have, how they're doing in their classes. And as they do that work, they can actually check off these boxes to keep track of what's done. So the second place that a student would be able to see that homework assignment is in their nightly homework email. The nightly homework email goes out around 5 o'clock for all students and parents in Schooloop. And there's nothing that you as a teacher need to do to make this homework email happen. It gets automatically created, and we just pull information that you're already sharing with Schooloop, like assignments and grades. So the student, which is a different student than the account we were just looking at, has some homework in Algebra 1A showing up on the calendar in the homework email. Finally, parents and students have a free mobile app for Schooloop. And that mobile app has a lot of great functionality, but in terms of where an assignment would show up, it would be on their main assignments page. And again, this compiles all of the assignments for all of their classes that are current. So for right now, the student is seeing an assignment for Algebra 1 that's worth 10 points. And if they were to tap on this assignment in their phone, it would actually show more information. So if the teacher had typed in a description or had posted some links to go with the assignment or attached a file, all of that would show up for the student in their phone. So just to recap, just by publishing a homework assignment, from the student perspective, that showed up on the student's portal, in their nightly homework email, and in the mobile app. That homework assignment is also going to end up in the digital classroom. So this class view, again, is the view of the class that the student shares with you, the teacher, and with other students that are enrolled in the same class. So if I'm a student and I'm on my portal, Schooloop has actually automatically created for me a digital classroom for each of my classes. And to visit one of those classrooms, I just need to click the name of the class. So I'm going to visit English 1A. All right. So now that I'm in the classroom, we can see that this graphic organizer is automatically getting pushed to today's board. Today's board would have any relevant units, lessons, or assignments for today. So you'll notice that not only is it showing this assignment, but it's also showing a lesson and a unit. It also has the bulletin board. We're going to come back to this later in the webinar. But the main takeaway from this teacher's digital classroom is that, first of all, the Today's Board piece will automatically update just as you publish assignments, and that you really have 100% control over what's showing up in this view. If a student wants to access any assignment, unit, or lesson that the teacher has published so far this school year, they can access that through the Curriculum tab in their digital classroom. And it's really nicely organized so that a student can just click around and figure out, which unit, lesson, or assignment they want to look at a particular time. This will only show the students material that you have published. So if you're still working on a draft of something as a teacher, don't worry, it won't show up here for the students. This only has assignments, units, lessons that you've already published and made available to those students. The final place that assignments will show up for a student in the digital classroom is on their calendar. So this is showing just for this class all of the assignments that my teacher has published so far this school year, with the graphic organizer being the most recent assignment. Okay, so again, to recap, just by publishing that homework assignment, it pushes to a number of places in the class view, which the students share with you, the teacher, and with the other students in the class. Finally, we have the public view. So this applies to those of you who do publish information about your courses through Schooloop's website. So by public, I'm going to log out because I could be anyone. I could be the student, I could be a community member, visiting the website and seeing which teachers share information either about themselves or their courses. So I found a teacher that shares information about themselves and about their course. So I'm going to click on English 1A. And you'll notice that because this teacher is publishing their current assignments module on their website, which is public, I, as a community member or a student, am able to see this assignment, again, automatically pushed here by Schooloop, just by me publishing it, showing up nicely on my website. So again, to recap, just by publishing that homework assignment the one time, from the student perspective, it pushes to their personal view, to their class view, and to the public view. All right. Any questions at this point about what students and parents see in Schooloop? All right. And if you do have a question, the easiest way for me to answer that is to type your question into the questions box rather than unmuting and remuting people. That gets pretty messy. So if you could type your questions into the questions box, I'll make sure to answer them. Right. So do the students have to have a Schooloop login? Good question. So if you want the students to be able to access the personal view or the class view, they do need a Schooloop login. However, the public view is completely public, so they don't need to have a login. You just need to make sure that you publish a website that has the class information that you want them to access. So if you want your students to be able to access current assignments and a locker without needing to log in to Schooloop, you would just build a page that had current assignments module and a locker on it and publish assignments as usual, and those would automatically show up here in current assignments for the students. All right. Any other questions? All right. Will they still be able to do class discussions? Yes. So inside the system, if I log in as a student, for each assignment, there are discussions that can happen for that assignment. So I'm going to log in, and I can go to this assignment, and I can actually post to this discussion. So it still has all of the same functionality that it had before. So students can discuss a particular assignment. Other questions? All right. So again, just to recap, where we ended up was on the very public page here that anyone could access. And this public view of the page does not have class discussions. In Schooloop, whenever a student publishes something, they're doing it under their real name. So we want to make sure that they have to log in so we know who they are as part of that discussion. So we don't have a discussion running on the website when it's totally public. All right. So I'm going to move on so we can make sure that we stick to this agenda. If there are questions I don't get to now and we have time at the end, I'll try and answer them then as well. Okay. So the second part of the agenda is where is my, or what happened to, and this is really trying to help you find frequently used tools in Schooloop. So Schooloop had a pretty big upgrade over this summer, and we want to make sure that you feel prepared and ready and that you can find all of the tools that you were using last year. So we've pulled from our frequently asked questions to create this part of the agenda on today's webinar. So this is the teacher's portal. So now this is the view that a lot of you have when you log into Schooloop. And the first thing that I want to start with is the Course Center. So we really reorganized the Course Center this summer into what we're calling a course. And the course is your one-stop shop for all of your course management needs. What I mean by that is when we click on the course, I can actually see all of the tools that I have available to manage my course running across the top. Curriculum, student performance, classroom tools, locker, and calendar. The last thing that we want to cover today is how to get help, which I'll explain these little red question marks in a little bit. But I want to start with explaining a quick overview of each of these tools. So the Curriculum tab really has anything to do with modifying or adding or reorganizing the curriculum that you want to share with your class. So this is where you could drag and drop curriculum to reorganize it. You could publish curriculum if you are still working on it as a draft. And you can also add new content. So I can add new units, lessons, and assignments. I can undelete a document that I was working on. And I can also import. So if I'm working as part of a curriculum group, so a group of other teachers or district folks at my school or across schools, and we've created units, lessons, and assignments, there's no need to recreate them. You can import them into your class, tailor them for your students, and then publish. So this Curriculum tab really covers both creating brand new curriculum, importing curriculum, and then managing the curriculum that you have. The Student Performance tab does what it sounds like. It shows you all of the students' performance in your class. So this is giving me an overview of all of my kids. I could filter this to view students who are trending up or trending down. I could view my high priority students and look at my tracker. This is also one of two places that I can find the roster printout. You know the roster printout is really important to a lot of you. This is, again, one of the two places that you could find that roster printout in the course. The second place that you could find that roster printout in the course is in the Classroom Tools tab. Up here at the top next to Classrooms. And really the Classroom Tools tab is all about helping you manage both your physical classroom and your digital classroom. So what I mean by physical classroom is that you can actually look at the attendance of your class if your school is sending this data to Schooloop. You can manage your seating charts and you can download your roster. By digital classroom, what I mean is if you actually clicked the period name, you would go to that class's digital classroom, which we were just looking at from the student's perspective. So period 4, period 5, and period 7 all have their own digital classrooms. When we were in that digital classroom, we also were looking at the bulletin board, which I said I'd talk about later. So this is where you manage that bulletin board. So you have total control over what's showing up in that digital classroom. We have a lot of help materials through our help site. that go into how to edit the bulletin board. I'm not going to go into that on the webinar today because I want to make sure we can cover as much material as possible. But this is, again, where you would manage all of your physical and digital classroom needs. The locker is where you would manage just this course's locker. So this is where you can decide what files and other resources you want to share with your students. They're able to see these resources and copy them, but they cannot edit them. You're the only person who has any control over what appears in the course locker and how it appears. If you want to manage multiple lockers simultaneously or connect to Google Drive through our new Google integration, you're going to need to do that through My Locker. The same idea applies to calendar. This is the calendar just for your course. You can add to this calendar, but if you want to manage multiple calendars at once, you're going to need to use the My Calendar link here at the top. Okay, looks like we have a question. So everything that we are seeing so far today is for Schooloop Portal and Schooloop Plus with Gradebook. So for those of you who are just using the website, these changes are not going to apply to you. This is just for Plus. All right. Okay. So if you're in the system and you land on a brand new tab and you need help, there are a couple of options. One, you can click on this little red question mark, and that's going to take you to the relevant page in the Schooloop Help website. You can also click the question mark up here in the upper corner, and this will take you to our Schooloop Support Center, which has videos of our frequently asked questions, a link to our help site, and a link to submit a ticket. So I'd encourage you to use all of these tools that are at your disposal if you have any questions when you're navigating Schooloop. Okay, so we covered what happened to the Course Center. It's now the reorganized Course Center, which is the course. It has all of these great tools. We covered where to find your roster printout, which is either on Student Performance or Classroom Tool, and your seating chart, which is on Classroom Tool. So the final topic in the where is my or what happened to or how do I get to this tool is cross-course publishing. So for those of you that are totally new to Schooloop, cross-course publishing was the ability to publish the same assignment to two courses at the same time, sort of with one click. We had to temporarily, and I want to stress temporarily, undo cross-course publishing when we did this major release. And we know that that was really, really hard on a number of you teachers. And we understand that and we hear you. And we're bringing it back. So I do want to offer that reassurance. We're bringing it back. It may take us about 60 days to get there. But in the meantime, what we want to do is offer you kind of two best solutions we have to try to mitigate this problem until we bring back cross-course publishing. So the first solution is to think about whether you're teaching two totally different courses in this case. So I have English 1A and English 2A. If I'm going to be essentially assigning all the same assignments to these two courses, what I might want to do is combine them into the same course. And I can do that through Manage Sections. If these are two really different courses and I'm only occasionally going to publish to both the same assignment to both courses, I want to copy curriculum from one course to another. So I can go to the curriculum tab of my course. I can visit the assignment that I want to copy and click copy. And it'll let me select the course that I want to copy to. Once I'm here, I have a couple of options. I can either save a draft if I'm not ready to publish it to my students yet. I can publish it if I am ready to share, or I can say, you know what, that was totally the wrong assignment. I'm going to cancel. All right, looks like we have a question. So there was a question about, is there a way to unpublish a post, which I'm going to interpret as an assignment without deleting it? Absolutely. So you'll notice up here when you click on an assignment, you have an unpublished or a delete button. Unpublishing basically says I don't want my students to be able to see this assignment anymore, whereas delete says totally remove this assignment from both my view and from the student view. Again, you can recover deleted documents here through the Add Content menu. And there may be a reason that you want to just hide an assignment from your students while still keeping it in your course map here on the left. You can definitely unpublish without deleting. All right. Okay, so going back to our agenda. In the last 10 minutes, what we want to cover is what happens to my course sites. All right. So if you taught in previous years in Schooloop and you put a lot of time and energy into creating a course site, don't worry, we didn't get rid of it. It now lives as a page or set of pages under your personal site. You can reach any of your sites, so your personal site or now your course pages that are living under your personal site by clicking on My Website. Now that I'm on my website, I want to take a look at all the pages that I have available. So I have English 1A, which I've moved out of this English 1A site and have done the same thing to English 2A. So these are pre-existing course sites that are again now living underneath my personal site. And a couple of changes happened with course sites this year. So first of all, Schooloop is not going to automatically create a new course site for you for each new course that you teach. You are free, of course, to add your own page for a new course that you're teaching and put whatever information about that course you want to on that page. If you have a pre-existing course site, we did not automatically publish it. So you're going to need to visit that page and then click Publish. Something to keep in mind, another change, is that you can no longer make a page private in Schooloop. So it used to be that course sites, you could require a login to get to your course site. Well now, if you remember from our earlier conversation, if you want students to have a private place to access information about their course, they already have that through their portal, through their daily homework email, through the mobile app, and through their digital classroom. So this is really intended to be a place where you can share publicly about your course or about yourself and your classes that you're teaching. All right. So once you are on a course page, whether one that previously existed or one that you're adding new for the first time, the tools that allow kind of current assignments to show up, if you've not used Schooloop before, you use this green button, and you'll see all of the elements that you can add to the page. So I'm just using this current assignments element and the locker element. You'll also want to make sure, if you're creating a course page, that whatever course you're calling the page, so in this case, this is my English 1A course, that you're pointing to the right current assignment. Make sure that it's not confusing, that you're not pointing to the wrong course. When you're setting this up or afterwards, you can actually edit and make sure that you've selected the right course. So I just use the pencil icon to edit, and then I am pointing at the right course, so I can just close out of here. Let's see, it looks like we have a question. All right. So one question that came up was, what if I published something last year and I want to republish it this year? Without going into too much detail, on your teacher portal, you have course archives. And these course archives have previously assigned work. They also have notes, locker, and the progress reports. So you'll be able to publish old assignments from your course archives. And we're trying to make this as easy as possible. So if you've done a lot of work in Schooloop before, in general, you don't need to redo that work this year. We try to give you ways to reuse that work that you've already done in the system. So just to recap, in terms of what happened to my course sites, we're no longer automatically creating new course sites, but you didn't lose your existing course sites. They now live under your personal page. You're going to need to republish them if you want them to be public. And really, public is the only option. You can no longer create private pages. And finally, if you do want a private place for your students to log in and see information about your course, just remember that they already have that. They have that through their student portal, the homework email, the mobile app, and the digital classroom. Right. So if there were questions I didn't get to, I will address them in the break. I'm going to stop recording this webinar since we have addressed all of the topics on the agenda. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it. We hope that this has been helpful. And please do see our help site or submit a ticket if you have any questions. So if you hang on just a second, if I didn't get to your question, I'll get to it once I stop recording.